Hello, and welcome to the Marble Security Podcast. I'm Dave Jevons, the host of the program. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most insidious threats on the internet, and one that poses a distinct threat against mobile and remote workers, and that is spear phishing. Let's talk about what spear phishing is. In 2004, my good friend Jonathan Rush at the Department of Justice defined spear phishing as a targeted phishing attack against selected individuals inside of a company or government agency attempting to trick them into divulging credentials, usernames or passwords, or installing malicious software onto their device. We have seen a resurgence of spear phishing in the last few years, and in fact, spear phishing appears to be involved in almost every advanced persistent threat against companies and government agencies, and is particularly effective against users of mobile devices. Let's learn more. Welcome to the podcast. Spear phishing attacks are targeted attacks either through email or SMS against employees inside of a company or agency, attempting to get them to divulge access credentials, usernames, passwords, perhaps VPN passwords or certificates, or to install malicious software on their device or their PC or Macintosh that allows attackers to gain deep access into the network, and from there they use what we call island hopping to jump from one system to another. And once they've penetrated the network they can start looking at privilege escalation, they can start looking at databases or other systems, SharePoints, what have you, that are shared. The point is, once they're in, they can get access to a lot of things, and they can start putting exploits into the system. So how do we prevent spear phishing attacks on mobile devices? Well, this turns out to be a bit of a conundrum. The problem with mobile devices, particularly those that are owned by employees and that are used to access your corporate networks or your government networks, is that they may have multiple email addresses associated with one device. So they may be getting email directly from the company, but they may also be getting email from Gmail or any other personal email service provider. So they can be targeted through numerous ways that do not go through your email filtering regime. Another way that we are finding people being spear phished is through what we call smishing or SMS phishing. These are text messages sent to employees by criminals who know their mobile phone number, and those are not filtered by any email filtering system and allow the user to click on a link and take them to a website that is malicious, that may request information, that may download malware to their device, and there is no way to effectively, through a centralized corporate system, to block it. Spear phishing attacks have been instrumental in almost every form of advanced persistent threat that we've seen over the last few years. Most APTs start with a very targeted email to 1, 2, 3, or 4 employees that is highly convincing and convinces that employee to click on the email attachment or to a link inside the email. The attachment may purport to be a PDF file with the latest new open requisitions for new hires, as in the case of the RSA spear phishing attack, which resulted in RSA credentials for 40 million two-factor authentication users around the world being compromised. Or it may be as simple as a URL that a user clicks where they enter their password and their username to do, for example, a fake password reset, which resulted in the takeover of the NewYorkTimes.com website in late August of 2013, when spearfishers sent a single email to an IT admin at Melbourne IT, the DNS registrar for the New York Times, and that person fell for it and entered their credentials and allowed the Syrian Electronic Army to take over the website of the New York Times. These are examples of how simple phishing and spear phishing emails can completely compromise an enterprise. Spear phishing is very difficult to detect with an email filtering system, particularly for mobile workers. The first reason is that these spear phishing emails are highly targeted and there are only 1 or 2 or 3 ever sent, so they will not trigger typical spam filtering protocols such as sent from a bad IP, contains the word Viagra in it. Those types of things. Sent from an IP that sends millions of emails. They will not trigger those filters. They will look like legitimate, real corporate email, so they tend to get through. The other thing is that users on mobile devices, we have multiple email accounts set up, and those email account addresses can be found through searches on various social networking sites. So attackers can target your users through various means other than just through corporate email, through their personal email or through SMS messages. Once that message is received by the user, they can click on it. Let's say it's delivered by an SMS. They click on it. If there's no VPN and no filtering service available to that user when they're at the coffee shop on a Saturday, they may receive an email saying, hey, it's a security update from IT. Please click in and update your security profile. That gives out the username and password to attackers, or on certain devices may install a malicious management profile that allows attackers to take over an iOS or Android device. It turns out that users themselves are often the best way to detect, report, and defend against spear phishing attacks. So enterprises should put in systems where users can quickly and easily report a spear phishing attack, have it routed to IT, have it filtered, and have it put in a system so that IT can quickly and easily add it to blacklists that will protect both internal employees and those on mobile devices. To learn more about spear phishing and how it relates to advanced persistent threats and how you can protect yourself and your employees, I invite you to visit marblesecurity.com. Thanks. Next webcast, we're going to be talking about more detail of APTs, Advanced Persistent Threats.